Hey everyone, welcome to the reading. So today I'm going to have my Schumann wave signal generator, just playing 528 hertz here. This is known as the love frequency or DNA repair. I just felt called to add this frequency over today's reading. Kind of fit the vibe. So hope everyone is doing well. I don't know if anybody was able to go out and see the eclipse that just happened, or maybe you saw some videos online. This one is pretty exciting, pretty intense, pretty awesome. Really big energies coming in with this one. So I was actually able to catch a little bit of the eclipse. I saw it start to get covered. It got cloudy. I ended up driving somewhere else, finding some clear sky, and I actually got to see it start to reveal itself again. So that was a really awesome experience. And while I was there, under the moon, and while the eclipse was happening, I actually pulled these cards just to kind of tune into the effects that this eclipse might be having on the collective here. And I know, hearing from a lot of astrologers and lots of people, this energy can impact us for the next 6 months. So I actually felt called to share this as a reading, since it was really a collective energy that I was tapping into. So this might not resonate personally for you, but it might give you some understanding of what's happening on the collective level. You might be experiencing some of this personally, and you might just be noticing this happening around you. So the first card that came out, this one actually has been catching my eye the last couple times that I've touched this deck. It's jumped out at me, and so I was not really surprised when it was the first card that came out when I was pulling cards for this eclipse energy. So the first thing that's really standing out to me in this card is this hand in the darkness reaching out for this object that is radiating light. And this is really speaking to me about, reaching out for a sense of meaning, like a light at the end of the tunnel, the silver lining, for something that we can hold on to, for something that gives us a sense of meaning. This medallion card really talks about objects that we hold sacred, whether they are, amulets, talismans. They can be inherited, um, family heirlooms. They can be family crests, school crests. Any kind of symbol or logo or object that gives meaning or holds some sort of emotional significance. And even in the book here, what really stood out to me when I was reading it is um, sometimes these. Let me just actually open to the book here and I can read this part for you guys that stood out. So it is important to recognize that they may bind us to an unspoken agreement or promise. So these objects may be embedded with unconscious energy or expectations. So what this really is telling me is, like, there may be some things that we hold dear or that we may be a part of. We may have just inherited it. It might just be some sort of a tradition. But there's definitely this energy going on in the collective now where people are taking a closer look at the things that matter the most to them and what it is that these things really represent. And then based on that and the meaning that these things have for us, that dictates how we act or how we live our lives, right? And so this to me is talking about, even in the darkness here, this can be kind of like confusion and fear and uncertainty. And so in the midst of this, we are really reaching out to try to find some sort of sense of meaning, something that kind of light our way through this confusing time right now. So the next card, the Pilgrim. The first thing that stood out to me with this one is this this shape here. So that made me think about the you know, like the pink ribbon you see for like supporting breast cancer, for example. And what that's really meaning to me is it's talking to me about doing something for a good cause. And with this person here having their hands clasped over their heart, this is something that is dearly important to somebody. This is you know, finding a cause that truly matters to you. And the mountain here at the bottom, this can be an epic journey, an epic climb. This can represent a challenge. And of course, sometimes it can be a challenge to be on a pilgrimage, because usually this is a journey that takes us far away from home, far away from what we're used to, far away from what we've always known. And so a lot of people may be beginning, or have already opened up their eyes, or beginning to open up their eyes to see, instead of just looking in black and white, they're starting to see, you know, all these colors of the rainbow. So learning and growing, you know, beyond the environment that we grew up in, beyond our immediate surroundings. The pilgrim can wander to the farthest reaches of the globe in order to find the wisdom that they're seeking, in order to find the meaning that they value, in order to find the cause that they support. So with the Pilgrim card, I think a lot of people may be experiencing or witnessing others who seem to be learning, who seem to be feeling that call, maybe even a deep longing, a feeling like they need to get unstuck, a feeling like they need to like move, because this card is definitely bringing in with it a lot of energy of movement. A pilgrim is all about movement, climbing this mountain, you know, being able to travel to the farthest ends of the earth to learn all there is that there is to know. This requires a lot of movement. This requires a lot of putting our biases aside, and this requires us to be open-minded to the things that we may not be familiar with, right? And so I feel like there's this energy collectively right now where people may be feeling this call, this movement, this push to get unstuck. So sometimes the day-to-day life stuff can kind of, you know, numb us out, and, you know, we just turn off and start going on autopilot. And with all of the cards so far, and even the rest that we'll get into, this is really about becoming more aware, becoming more present, really taking a look at the things that matter to us, and deciding to journey, deciding to wander, deciding to open our minds. And the next card we have here is the Desert. So again, this is kind of throwing me back to that first card we had, where there's a hand reaching out to grab onto something, right? This one's reaching for the medallion, this one is reaching out to the moon. So again, this is talking about moving towards something. Just like the pilgrim talks about movement and travel and journeying, we're definitely trying to move towards something. This almost looks like an eclipse happening here. Like the end of the eclipse as I saw it in my area of the world, or the area of the world that I'm in right now, is it started to reveal itself from that way over. So maybe we are looking for some meaning, for some truth that has yet to be revealed. We may be looking and reaching for something that has yet to be fully seen or yet to be fully understood. There can also be this sense of like this sense of barren or deserted or being alone, like the desert. But in reality, the desert is actually a place where there's a lot of life and there can be a lot of abundance. And there can even be water in unexpected places. It's all about knowing the land, and being able to navigate somewhat harsh environments. When in reality, there's beauty in the desert. You know, when it's bright, it's very bright, and when it's dark, it's very dark, and then the whole sky is illuminated. So for this one, I'm actually going to read a little bit from the book here, because I really like what it says. The desert is alive, pulsing with energy. Despite its desolate appearance, turn towards it rather than away from it. So this energy can feel, for some people, they may be experiencing this as a very strange, surreal time. It can feel very quiet. Some people may be getting unexpected visions, usually in the desert, when it's quiet, when it's very dark, when there's not much around, when you're the most, when you're the least distracted. That's usually when our intuition can speak to us the strongest. That's usually when we can feel the strongest connection with spirit. And the flip side of this card is some people may be experiencing this as disorienting or isolating. This kind of like dry, like sucking you dry kind of energy. So the desert here, so the desert, the drought, the wasteland, the badlands. The desert leaves us disoriented, desperate for direction, grasping for meaning, longing for solid ground. For endless miles, we are confronted with a lack of clarity and existential dread. We are thirsty, hungry, pleading with life to get back to normal, to become animated by the simple pleasantries of day-to-day life. The desert offers no such comfort, and all must pass through it. If you can embrace the discomfort of the desert, knowing you will someday reach water again, you can tap into the potent energy of the landscape. Its lights are blindingly bright, and its darks terrifyingly deep, which makes for unbridled creativity and clairvoyant visions. The truths reside in the desert that otherwise remain hidden. The crows, the shadows, and the coyotes call surround you. Huh, yeah, and when I was watching the eclipse, I actually heard a bunch of coyotes howling at the moon. That was really cool. Let the winds and sands work their deep magic, weary traveler. So what this card is really talking to me about, in combination with these other two cards here, is collectively we may feel like we are in a very disorienting place right now. We may feel like, we just want to get out of here, but it's through this place, through this time and place and energy that we are currently in, that will lead us to great insights. And it's this journey, this movement, this pilgrimage, right? that is leading us to find the things that we really value, the things that we can hold on to, that can give us a sense of direction through this, seemingly barren environment right now. And it can lead us towards the water. And allowing us to see things beyond the norms that we're used to, so that we can have a more well-rounded perspective, will help us be able to find what matters most to us and find the causes that we want to support. So the next card here we have is the Shadow. So this can be revealing unconscious aspects of the self and the world, but this can also be denying unconscious aspects of the self and the world. So the shadow is usually the place where all of the parts of ourself that we deny or reject, that we're ashamed of, the parts of us that we were told or were not good, or they were rejected, or the parts of ourselves that we're ashamed of, like all the aspects and all the things that we don't want to look at is usually what's like shoved down into the shadow, right? And so this can be a place where there are a lot of uncomfortable things to look at. There are, it can be scary, it can be uncomfortable, but there can also be a lot of good things found when we are brave and we take this journey to explore these less known spaces. So how this may be showing up in the collective could be a couple of different things. There may be some people who are starting to work and partner with their shadow, or just, shadow energy in general, and saying, hey, like, I'm ready to work through this. I'm ready to be aware of this. I want to understand. I want to try to integrate and find peace and harmony and balance. And, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's hard, I'm really ready and willing to face myself and the world, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. I'm not going to deny, one aspect just because it's not something that I find pleasant. I'm going to accept, reality or myself in its totality, right? And that is when we partner with the shadow. On the other side, when we deny things or we repress certain aspects of ourselves, these energies then get pushed down deeper into the shadow. And just to read a little bit from the shadow card, from what it says in the book here. By rejecting part of ourselves and the world, we begin to separate from the whole. Rather than getting to know the qualities and contents of our shadow, we busy ourselves with avoiding its presence. This is denial. Notice the things you've been denying. When the mind says, no, anything but that, you are touching shadow. Find support for this deep inner work and move towards the shadow with patience and compassion. So that does do a pretty good job of explaining what it feels like when you end up touching on shadow material. Usually all of the things that we would rather avoid, that's what lives in the shadow. There's a lot of there's a lot further that you can go into the shadow concept. A lot of people believe the inner child resides somewhat in the shadow, in the subconscious spaces, right? Being safe, So it can also represent parts of ourselves that we want to protect, or parts of ourselves that may be in hiding, again, with that maybe out of fear of needing to be protected. So there are actually a lot of beautiful things that you can find when you are able to work with the shadow. But for this reading, I think I'll just leave the explanation there. So what I'm getting from the shadow card too is there may be a lot of people right now who are experiencing things that are coming up, whether that's internally or externally, and they may be things that you would rather not look at, the things that you'd rather not face or accept about reality or your own experiences right now. And I think the advice here is just be aware that these things will exist whether or not we look at them or accept them or not. And when we push things into the shadow, that tends to cause the shadow to grow bigger, and eventually a lot of these things will want to come out, will want to be looked at, will want to be acknowledged, right? And so more often than not, when something does come up, if you are capable or in a good space, or if you can find support, see if you can find a way to work through those uncomfortable spaces. And even if it isn't necessarily pleasant, it's always beneficial to accept what you have or the current situation in order to be able to go and move forward, right? We have to know where we are to be able to figure out how to get to where we want to be going, right? And this next card here coming out is Eros. So Eros is all about, passion and playfulness, but on the flip side, it can also be about madness and projection and obsession. So there may be some people here who are, there could be a lot of projection and people like clinging to ideas, people getting very like caught up on things. And for others, they may be finding things that they're passionate about, finding things that make them feel alive. And to read again from the book, the root of desire itself. So Eros talks about the root of desire, right? So that's like, what do we long for? Why are we awakened by love? What makes us hesitate in the face of intimacy? Eros reconnects us with the primal longing to merge with another human being, nature, music, art, plants, food, or anything that we perceive that we are separate from. Eros allows us to momentarily unite. Our heart embraces otherness, and in doing so, we further understand our own. Our life force awakens. Explore the labyrinth with a curious and honest heart, and remember, though the way is circuitous, meaning like circular, you are always being led towards its center. So kind of how things often may seem to repeat themselves, but it's more like a spiral. We never really face the exact same thing. It may just be a similar thing on a different level, right? Or sometimes even when things from the shadow come up and it may be something that we thought we've dealt with before, it's usually coming up in a different way, or we are different, so we are now able to deal with something in a different way than we could have before. So what this Eros is really talking to me about is connecting with people, even connecting with our shadow, connecting with all the aspects in reality here, right? Finding a way to accept everything that is, and find the things that make us feel connected, find the things that make us feel alive, really getting to the root of what we truly want and desire for ourselves and for our life, right? So finding what truly matters. Also too, with this with the Eros card and the shadow here, I think what would be important right now is thinking about what is it that we do want to merge with. What is it, instead of maybe merging with these shadow aspects and just feeling overcome by the fear or the shame or the hopelessness, like honestly the feelings that we may rather not experience, and also if they're just coming up from the shadow in their raw form, un without being integrated or processed or all those things. It's like sometimes the things can sneak up out of the shadow and come out and almost like terrorize us with all these negative haunting feelings or thoughts and stuff. So try not to get too lost into the shadow. Deal with it when it comes up, when you feel like you're willing and able to, when you can make good progress with it. But otherwise, it's like really being conscious about what it is that we're blending our energies with, right? This makes me think about it's being highlighted in this card. It's very important that what we are speaking is something of value. Speaking the truth. Speaking beauty, creating beauty, manifesting beauty into the world, things that we do want, things that we love. Focusing on, the relationships around us. Focusing on the beauty that does exist around us. And calling in more of that into our reality, right? This is like all in all here, this is really about a journey to find the things that truly matter to us, right? Even with these two hands here, they're both a left hand, so it can be more so like our intuitive, more feminine side, whether you're, it doesn't matter how you identify, we all have masculine and feminine energies within us. So just an archetypal energy sense, the feminine, maybe more intuitive, reaching for that intuition, even trying to reach out and find something that has meaning, taking that journey, exploring beyond what we know, beyond our comfort zones, beyond, maybe our own communities, to see like the full spectrum of reality, not just black and white, really taking the time and putting in the effort to take that journey, to take those steps, to really take that action to find something, some sort of a cause or a purpose that really means something to us, right? Opening up our eyes to see and learn and grow, so we can come to a point where, we don't have to deny things anymore. We don't have to feel so consumed by the shadow even, or fearful of the shadow. We can even learn to love the shadow, because oftentimes these less pleasant energies or, less desirable circumstances can actually teach us a lot, and we can learn and grow a lot from them. And by working with this energy here of this eclipse, it looks like it's really challenging people to go on a deep inner journey of self-reflection, to integrate and be aware of all the things. It's like a reassessment, a reevaluation of the things that matter the most to us, almost. Or it can also be a reconfirmation of the things that matter the most to you, maybe a recommitment to a certain cause, right? And at the end, at the very end, I think it's really all about finding a way to stay focused on what it is that we do want versus feeling taken over by the things that we don't necessarily want to face, right? It also says here in the book about Eros, Plato reminds us that Eros can be experienced as platonic love. It is activated when we witness beauty and truth in the world, when our barriers soften. So some people may be feeling very guarded right now. Some people may be feeling very lost and disconnected. Some people may be feeling like they're holding on to, maybe old ways of doing things. Some people may be feeling stuck. Some people may be feeling disconnected. Some people may be feeling a little bit obsessed and consumed and kind of trapped in this very dark hopelessness, right? But on the flip side, there's an opportunity to really dig deep, or even emerge from the depths here, to be able to find a meaning, find something that truly matters to us, find something that allows us to see the beauty in the world, allows us to see something that, we find it valuable to put our energy and effort into supporting this, right? It's an opportunity to get very clear on what it is that matters the most to you. This can even be like freeing ourselves from outdated mindsets, freeing ourselves from ideas or beliefs or feelings that we've outgrown, moving towards something that really fuels us and imbues us with a sense of purpose and passion. Something that makes us feel connected. Something that allows us to see the beauty and speak of the beauty and create more beauty in the world, right? So I'm going to leave this one here. For everybody who has stayed and listened, I hope it was either entertaining or meaningful in some way, and feel free to like, share, comment, all that good stuff, and much love to you all. Until next time.